I mean, I could go on at length about how you can copy a key by pushing it into the meaty part of your palm and then using the indentation to make a duplicate of it. But
if you can do that, you need to drink more water.
I mean, that's true too. Another thing you do is you carry a bag. I don't know why I know so much about copying keys.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I've always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you.
So it's another beautiful day in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
It's a very beautiful day in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
I'm Steven.
I'm Andrew.
And this is Please Won't You Be My Podcast, the podcast where we bring you the latest and greatest in food, fashion, amusement parks, video game opinions.
All these things.
But today...
And less. Today we're talking, coincidentally, about the namesake of our podcast, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
We're on episode 1178.
1178 is the 8th episode, I think.
On volume 1
On
of
volume
Amazon's
1.
Best Of collection.
It is the Wednesday of the week.
Thanks for keeping track of that. So this episode felt long to me.
A lot of make-believe, not a lot on the edges, it felt like.
Which
to me.
that's my preference.
Yeah.
If I had my
Yeah.
druthers.
I mean, there's some fun stuff can happen in the neighborhood. Not so much this time. Mr. Rogers has locks he's very excited about.
Yeah, he comes in while he's singing the theme song. He's like, got something in his hand, and I wrote down fidget spinner. And then later we find out that it's locks.
He helpfully holds them up and says locks, and then he's walking through his room. He's like, "Oh, nice picture," and he's like says hi to the fish. He's like, "Hi, fish." Locks.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a good bit.
So yeah, he's got locks, and he says, "So I've got these 3 locks, and
Three
over on the
different
table
sizes.
in the kitchen, we've got 3 keys. So let's go over there and see which key opens which lock." And my immediate thought was boring. And
Yeah.
I wasn't wrong.
I have in my notes the keys open the locks in an unsurprising fashion.
Yeah.
Big key to big lock, little key to little lock, medium key to medium lock.
And so I'm wondering, maybe Mr. Rogers is just sick and tired of coming home and finding a bunch of balloons filling his house. And so he's finally like...
He's thinking about getting a lock for his door.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hopefully not the one that he sees later, because anybody can open that thing.
Oh, yeah. That's true. We'll get to that. So,
And actually, you might be onto something with this Mr. Rogers. Sick of people coming into his house, because then he sings about how great it is having your own place.
yeah.
A place that you could call your own.
And he talks, I don't know if it's at this point, but he talks in this episode about, don't you just hate it when you've got a drawer
Yeah.
or a space
Yeah, that's
or
after
a box,
make-believe.
and somebody comes in and messes it up?
Yeah, he's very big on like the sanctity of one's private areas.
Yeah, I think
which is
I
fair.
think it's a response to current events.
So he sings a song, and at some point we cut to a montage, which I prematurely described as kids playing around montage or kids at a playground montage.
Mm-hmm.
Later, I amended that to increasingly aimless montage.
Yeah, there was it was like a kite and a playground. Later,
Yeah, some of it was just I think the things that
seagulls.
float montage from
a few episodes ago.
several, a few of our episodes and years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years.
In Mr. Rogers' time. Yeah, there's like a seagull, there's just some leaves.
A kid looking at a worm. in
Yeah.
sand.
Like there's a lot of kids playing is still, I think, sort of the central theme, but there's a lot of...
I think the theme is like playing on
place
your
setting.
own, like your own place, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think places ultimately is the theme I came down on. It's just, here's a montage of it's just a montage of pleasant imagery.
After we come out of it, Mr. Rogers sort of explains it. He says that it's good to have your own place, and some people, their special place is not that fancy of a place. It's affirmed that everyone's fancy, but not everyone's place is fancy.
Oh, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. Real sliding scale of what the word fancy means.
And then Mr. Rogers...
It's straight into Land of Make-Believe.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
First, Mr. Rogers takes an opportunity to brag about how he was given the key to Miami.
Oh, that's true. Well, he never says he got the key to Miami, but
he has the key to Miami.
Yeah, why does
In
Mr.
his
Rogers have the key to the city of Miami?
Because he visited there.
I guess, yeah, and he's Mr. Rogers. I'm surprised that this early in he has a key to like Pittsburgh. I could see Pittsburgh's where he's from. He's a big name in Pittsburgh. I don't know what he was doing down in Miami. Miami doesn't even seem like Mr. Rogers' scene, frankly.
Please won't you be Miami?
There we go. Our spin-off podcast.
I couldn't think of a way to insert that, so
that's good. That's good stuff.
Sort of.
Smaller than I would have thought. The key to the city of Miami.
Yeah, no, I was expecting something much larger.
Something you could hang on a wall.
Something you could hold in two hands.
No, it's just sort of fits in like a glasses case.
Yeah,
it's just sort of a largish key.
Mm-hmm. Is it the same key as we see later in
Land
of Make-Believe?
No, it's all fancy and shiny.
Okay.
Whereas Land of Make-Believe's key is just an old key.
Before we get into the Land of Make-Believe,
which I'm excited for. Good stuff.
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
That Trolley's been fixed. All of his repairs.
Trolley is just back in.
I don't know
if
if he was broken for a while.
I often wonder: do you think it's one contiguous track, like on the studio set?
Oh, do you think
the trolley actually goes around and across the wall to another set, or somebody has to carry it up, set it down? I like to believe
it's one contiguous.
It's one track. It's probably not.
Let's head on to the Land of Make-Believe.
Let's hop on board the trolley.
The refurbished trolley.
Don't need money. Don't need...
I mean, it carries us...
Fame. Don't need no credit card to ride this trolley.
You know what? You finish your thing and then I'll do mine.
I was doing The Power of Love by Huey Lewis. Look that song up when this podcast's over. I think you'll enjoy listening to it again. Maybe you've never heard it. Maybe this will be the first time. Boy, are you in for a trip.
Here we are in the Land of Make-Believe.
Yay!
Here we've got Lady Aberlin, King Friday, and a character that
King Friday isn't even here yet. Yeah, there's a new character.
Robert Troll.
Yeah, I thought for most of this episode I had his name as Rubber Troll.
Rubber Troll?
I don't know. I thought his name might have been Rubber Troll. He talked in a way, like if you were to say to me, oh, there's this character named Rubber Troll, and ask me how I thought he might speak.
You'd say like this.
I would say he speaks like Robert Troll speaks. Or, I sort of thought, those certain stuffed animals where you like shake them?
Oh, got it.
Yeah, they make sort of a noise. He talks like one of those.
Yes, true. That's a good
yeah.
That's a good comparison.
And he dresses like a medieval person with he's got like a floppy hat. And
he does speak not entirely in gibberish. He just sort of
he's relatively understandable.
Yeah. So they're all at the castle getting ready for the royal
welcoming of Colette.
Yeah, because I guess anyone who comes to this town.
I mean, look, not a lot happens in this town.
There are only maybe 16.
Nobody just shows up without it being a whole thing.
16 residents in this town. I
Robert
guess,
Troll, I was wondering, is Robert Troll just show up one day? Or did was he a story arc that became part of the thing?
I don't know. It seemed like
I looked him up actually.
It seemed like later in the episode he seemed to know Colette.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about, but I looked up Robert Troll to see briefly what his deal was that we missed in previous episodes. If you want the run, basically he came up. He was looking for his friend Sarah Saturday, Queen Saturday.
Found out she was already married. It's like, oh.
I guess. I don't know. No, she tamed the previously wild Robert Troll in her childhood.
Okay.
He was a wild and ferocious type, and then he came and met his friend and worked for a while at Lady Elaine Fairchilde's, I believe it was called Someplace Else Camp. But yeah, he worked at her camp where he also lived for a while. Lady Elaine Fairchilde, she's got a lot of side gigs going on.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet her later in this episode.
Oh, boy.
So, King Friday says that Colette and Grandpere are going to be arriving later that day on the trolley.
Trolley's just about heading out.
I was hoping that we'd get to see them on the trolley.
Yeah, no.
I wasn't sure how that would...
Trolley says he's just about to take Grandpere to the train station, wait for Colette to arrive on the train, then get on the trolley and trolley them back into town.
But King Friday wants to give Colette the key to the kingdom.
Yeah.
As a ceremonial.
Which, not a concept Lady Aberlin has ever heard of.
No.
I was surprised that Lady Aberlin wasn't better versed at this point in sort of court ceremony.
Well, she kind of left the royal life to live in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
I mean, that's true, but also it feels like she's kind of it. There's not a lot of like it's a small court, right? There's not a lot of. I mean, she's here planning this. She plans a lot of courtly functions.
She's finally realized that she must fulfill her destiny, and so she's now in her adult years learning all this stuff that she would have learned as a child.
I guess, yeah.
Had she not.
Yeah. She's officially a member of the court of King Friday the 13th.
This is all speculation on my part.
This is completely speculative. Yeah, we don't know any of this stuff.
So King Friday sends them off to find a, quote, handsome key.
Yeah.
That was his criteria.
Yeah, they think, Lady Elaine Fairchilde's probably got one in the museum go round, which turns out to be an astonishingly
accurate prediction.
Guess.
Probably Lady Elaine is watching this whole time and it's like, oh, now's my chance.
Got to get my hustle on.
As
the trolley goes off to pick up Grand-Père, I'm really curious as to where Grand-Père was, because as he's there parked at the castle, he is basically as close to where Grand-Père lives as he could possibly get.
Yeah, Grand-Père to walk to the trolley track has to go all the way to
I don't
the
know,
castle.
maybe Grand-Père's chilling on the other side of that tunnel.
Maybe.
Behind the castle. That's the only thing I can think.
I mean, he's at the train station.
That's where he goes. No, he was going to take the trolley to the train station. I mean, I'm surprised.
Once the trolley...
This trolley goes all the way to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I'm surprised it also doesn't go to Paris.
Once the trolley goes through that tunnel, who knows where it hits? Like, maybe it has a stop inside the Eiffel Tower, inside the tree.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe underground there's a whole network.
Like that week-long arc on Sesame Street.
With the
the worms built the subway, yeah.
Yeah.
That's our next podcast. Let's talk about our favorite Sesame Street angles.
Sure.
Yeah, there wasn't supposed to be one at the Fix-It shop, but Oscar the Grouch got some sandwich on the map. So then there was Worm Central Station in the Fix-It shop.
Well, we've done that entire podcast.
Yeah,
Let's get back
one
to
time they go to the moon.
And so as Aberlin and Robert Troll are leaving the castle, I noticed they were holding hands, and I'm like, are they an item?
I don't know. They were just, I think, friendly. Robert Troll seems very... I think I have somewhere in here Robert Troll is trying too hard.
Oh, you think?
He's real heavy on the bits. He does a lot of bell business later.
He knows what works for him, and he's leaning too hard on that.
He's having a lot of fun all the time. I imagine, if you're having a bad day, I feel like Robert Troll is not the guy you want to see.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. You just be like, oh, Robert, I am so over this right now.
They stop by the tree with Henrietta Pussycat.
Henrietta Pussycat, yeah, comes out. This was foreshadowed a bit because in Mr. Rogers setting up, what are we going to imagine about today?
He said, let's imagine that they're welcoming Colette and also giving her a key, and also Henrietta thinks that the key is a key to her own house.
Yeah, that's the entirety of the setup. It's very to the point.
Yeah.
And
I don't have many notes from this.
No, Henrietta's still all glammed up like a. I noticed her earrings are on the tips of her cat ears, which is a weird place to wear them.
I mean, I guess you'd wear them at the base of the cat ears are weird though. I mean, where's the lobe of a cat ear?
Yeah, not a lot happens. Just Henrietta finds out about the key, and for a while I was like, "It's a good thing Mr. Rogers set this up because this is not clear at all." Because in her first appearance, Henrietta just says,
"No
she's
thanks.
not getting my house,"
right?
And then she, from what I could tell, spends the next 40 minutes trying to close her front door.
Yeah, as Lady Aberlin and Robert Troll leave the scene, Henrietta, concerned for the security of her home, closes the barn doors on her schoolhouse. And so there's double doors.
Yeah, she closes the left door.
She closes the left door. And then to close the right door, she has to move her body out where the left door is, which pushes it open.
Closes the other door.
And then it fades out, but I have to assume that this process continues back and forth.
Yeah, she just keeps alternately closing left and right doors for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So now we go to the museum go-round.
And we meet the character we've been waiting for since episode 1.
The museum go-round. Because first they get to the museum go-round, there's a sign that says special on keys. This raises the question, Stephen. What is the museum go-round?
I
assumed it was a museum, but museums do not have specials on keys.
I believe it's a thrift store.
Yeah, something.
That sells priceless artifacts for low prices.
Sell them either.
I guess it's just you rent artifacts.
Well, it's no cash changed hands. The key, it was not a 1 or a 2 or a 3.
No change cashed hands.
It sort of seems like it's just like a building full of stuff. So they ring the bell after Robert Troll does his bit where he can't ring the bell and eventually does. And he's making all these noises.
Yeah,
It was a
you
lot.
got to admire Lady Aberlin for putting up with this guy as long as I got tired of him after one scene.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a lot. So they ring the bell, and Lady Elaine Fairchilde comes up. It's Lady Elaine Fairchilde in her third regeneration.
She's got a brown coat this time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, she's got sort of this frilly collar and like a brown jacket.
So they tell Lady Elaine Fairchilde that they need a key for a ceremony.
Yeah. She asks, what do they need a key to open? Which, just now I'm wondering, does she have keys to every house in the land of make-believe?
Well, we do see that she does have a variety of keys.
She has a lot of keys. She hits a button on her little...
Selectoscope.
Is that what it is?
It's a selectoscope, which is basically like the
TV.
new electronic menus that they have in McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
But for priceless artifacts.
Yeah, and with sort of a George Jetson...
Yeah,
retro future vibe.
And Lady
Just
Elaine Fairchilde says, what you're seeing is all keys, but they're all different keys. And I played the scene a few times because they're not all different. I think there's about 10 keys that it cycles through in random order.
I didn't remember seeing doubles, but...
No, there's quite a few doubles. And the one that they settle on appeared earlier.
Yeah.
So they pick...
There's 10 total.
They pick a big fancy rusty key.
A big fancy rusty key. There are a variety of keys, because there's like a wind-up toy key.
Yeah.
There's some sort of folding key.
Yeah. So they pick their old-timey key, and then...
Lady Elaine Fairchilde says she'll just pop down to the storeroom to get it.
The stockroom, yeah.
The stockroom, yes.
And so they're like chatting, Lady Aberlin and Robert Troll.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden...
we get this tight close-up on the wall beneath the museum ground.
And Lady Elaine Fairchilde just pops out of this hole down there.
Yeah, she just opens up this hatch and pops out.
And Lady Aberlin and Robert Troll just like scream.
Yeah, they seem genuinely startled to see her there.
I guess nobody knew about this.
Yeah, she's like, no, it's a shortcut. I got a door right down here to the stockroom.
And then...
which, something about having this doorway down there really gives the museum ground a sense of impressive scale.
I feel like it's a massive, like a whole Gringotts scenario down there.
Yeah.
So she pops out there with the key, and at this point starts acting really wacky.
She gets real loopy. She says, because they're all sort of, crouched down to talk to her at this hole that's...
Like knee height.
Yeah, maybe waist height, but yeah.
They're all stooped over, and
right
she
down
says...
there.
She says, stand up straight, I can look at you. And so they're like, okay. And so they stand up straight, and she like spins around so she's lying on her back with her head sticking out of this window, and she's talking to them like that.
Talking to them straight up, yeah.
So they stop off next at X the Owl Street.
Yeah, they say toot toot to
Lady
Elaine Fairchilde.
Says toot toot, and off they go.
Yeah. And Robert Troll says doot, because I guess that's his thing.
He says doot?
Yeah.
I thought he was just imitating Lady Elaine.
Apparently, when I was looking him up, I guess one of his things is that he greets people by sort of poking them and saying doot.
Oh, he is insufferable.
Yeah, right? And just now I'm thinking I've known people like him. He's the sort of guy you fall out of touch with.
Anyways, they stop over at X the Owl's tree, and they're telling him about the key briefly.
Yeah, they do a better job of explaining to X the Owl it's not a key to anything in particular, it's just a ceremonial thing.
To which I wrote in my notes, not true. Because what makes them think that none of the keys in Lady Elaine Fairchilde's museum go around unlock anything? Like, if you have a museum with keys, presumably these keys do unlock something somewhere.
I mean, yeah, but if you don't know what it unlocks, and it's not something nearby.
I'm just saying that when we do the National Treasure-esque movie, Colette's going to have a very important key.
I mean, fair enough. That tracks. I'm looking forward to the big museum ground storeroom fight scene chase.
Oh, yeah, that'll be good.
That'll be good stuff. Jumping over boxes and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting shivers. And then camera pans over to Henrietta's schoolhouse.
Yeah, which she has just tied up.
She's tied the doors like around the outside with yarn.
Yeah.
Presumably tied to the back of her schoolhouse.
Twined the door. I mean, I think if you just tie them like flat, they don't...
What she's realized is that she can't keep her doors closed.
Yeah, at this point...
She's
so
concerned that the key that they've retrieved is the key to her schoolhouse, which, I hate to break it to you,
she does not have a keyhole.
You don't have like a door latch, let alone a lock to lock it.
There's no way at all to close that door.
So, anyways, they rip the yarn off of Henrietta's.
Yeah, they just claw right
door.
into that. It comes apart very easily. It was not doing much.
No doubt, ripping up the foundation in her house that it's tied to.
Or something, yeah.
Anyways, they reassure Henrietta that it's not a lock for your door, see? Look, your doors don't lock.
Your doors don't lock. Yeah, and they assure her that they wouldn't want to deprive her of her own special space.
Yes.
And this is, I think, the first time that there has been any meaningful reassurance on Henrietta's paranoia.
Yeah.
And this is peak week 1 of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in terms of some real deep set paranoia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, not since the Great War on Changes has somebody been so immediate. Oh, she's coming. They're going to give her my house.
Yeah.
I gotta lock this down. And then they head over to the castle, and we meet Colette for the first time.
Yep, she's just hanging out there.
Yeah,
with
honestly, she didn't leave a strong impression on me. I almost forgot she was in this episode.
And then the key arrives, and they say that they're going to have the ceremony in the K room.
Okay, that is what they said.
The K room, which I assume is K for King.
I guess, yeah. I hope we see the K room.
I was hoping we'd get to see it in this episode.
I suspect we see it next episode, which is in itself... If we do see it next episode, then that is definitive proof that the Land of Make-Believe does not flow in the same time-space as...
Oh, yeah, I suppose so.
Will the story continue seconds later? If we see the next 5 minutes tomorrow, I hope we see the K room. Maybe not. And then the trolley shows up, I think, and we head back to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
They sort of cut the story short there. Nope. Yep. So I guess let's take the trolley back to
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And we're back!
Yeah, Mr. Rogers is now, I guess, putting away his locks.
I don't know if he's even putting them away yet. He gets a phone call, I think.
Yeah, he gets a phone call from Bob Trow.
Okay, I missed his last name. I just have Bob.
Bob Trow, which I assume is short for Bob Troll, because he looks shockingly similar.
I completely missed that.
To
at
Robert Troll.
No point. Completely.
You didn't notice the similarities?
No, I did not.
Robert Troll and Bob Troll.
Look, Robert Troll has a lot going on. It is hard to.
Did you miss the fact that it was the same actor?
Yeah. Absolutely. Look, Robert Troll, I just see a beard and a hat. Bob Trow doesn't have a beard, does he? Also, his name, I didn't hear his name. All I heard was the Bob and a syllable, and I thought, is this guy Asian, maybe? I don't think he is when we get there.
No.
No.
You don't remember anything about this man.
I mean, he's not he could be he's not blonde. So he gets a phone call from Bob Trow, who I'm just learning, probably the same actor.
Is 100% the name.
The same actor
as Robert Troll.
I missed it entirely. But again, Robert Troll is all fake beard, dumb hat. A lot of people could wear that same costume and look similar. Look, I don't know. You don't get to the heart of his face. I see it now, looking at him. So Bob Trow lives in what I would describe as a 2-story red brick black box theater.
Yeah, he invites Mr. Rogers over to look at a door locking mechanism.
Yeah, over to his workshop, I guess it is.
And his workshop is it's a black room, which looks like a soundstage. Okay, you guys, it's a soundstage.
It's a soundstage.
But if you found this room in a real brick house, you'd wonder probably why all the shelves are 5 feet away from all the walls.
And all the walls are painted black and curve into the black floor. I mean, it's the workshop that you would have in a community theater production of a play set in a workshop.
It's the workshop that you would have if your workshop needed to be dismantled and replaced with someone else's workshop.
Yeah. I think we go to a music store at some point. I think we go to Brockett's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel confident that all of those locations have walls and
not a soundstage.
Carpet, I think, even. They're sets, and this is just maybe Bob Trow is the actual set guy, and he's just I'm not building a set for me, this is fine.
Like every other character, in their request for what their set should look like, and Bob Trow, the
guy who has to build this, is just I don't know, shelves, some pegboard, we're done. Let's put a fake window up that I can wave through when you come in, and this bell on a spring hand.
It's purely function over form
that jiggles when you come in.
Yeah, that's a thing. So Bob Tro shows us the inner workings of a lock. It's very interesting. Not a lot to talk about, though.
No, and it's a very basic lock.
It's true.
The lock has
no like tumblers.
There's no security value here. But yeah, I mean, anybody could pick this lock. Like, all you need is a paper clip that you just bend in a way.
Even just an Allen key would get you in.
He says he's going to put it on a neighbor's house later. I guess
Don't do that.
It's a safe neighborhood, I guess.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers is just discovering the world.
Yeah, and at first I thought, well, it's probably not a good idea to open up the key and show to Mr. Rogers the inside of one of his neighbor's
Mr. Rogers
keys.
is going to bust into your house.
Even if it was a secure key, now Mr. Rogers and all of his television neighbors have everything they need to...
You think Mr. Rogers' television neighbors would break into one of his neighbors' houses?
Look, they're all fancy. That doesn't mean they're all nice.
Mr. Rogers goes back to his house.
Picks up his keys.
But is it his house? He says something very important.
Oh, I missed it.
He says, when I'm home at night.
Whoa.
He doesn't mean when I'm here at night.
There's nowhere to sleep here.
He says, when I'm home at night, I think about coming back here to talk to you. So his house is not his only... This is where he comes on his lunch hour and not any other time.
Yeah, because we know he has a job he goes to.
Yeah.
We know he did 3 years ago.
No, I think that was more recently.
Was that more recently?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I feel like it was black and white era. Maybe not.
Doesn't matter.
We know he has a home, and we know he has this place.
A family. He has a family, presumably at his home that he goes to sleep at night. I was thinking, we don't have anything else to talk about.
No, nothing else happens. He picks up the keys, he goes home.
So that's what happened in episode 1178.
1178.
Next week, we'll be doing our Thursday of Mr. Rogers Week, which will be episode 1179.
A lot of conflicting timelines on this podcast.
Volume 1, episode 9 of the Amazon Best Of Collection.
It's a logistical nightmare.
Our theme song was provided by Dan Brisbane, and our trolley transition tune was made by Rindale.
Book 'em, Dano. Book 'em, Rindale.
So we'll be back when the week is new.
We'll have more messy podcasting for you.
I know I'll have things that I want to talk about.
I gotta be here.
Okay.
All right. Do we want to try a non-disastrous one, or is that just what we're going with?
So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please, won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please, won't you be my podcast?
Hi, fish. Locks.